What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cheeseheadz Weekly podcast. It's been a minute since I have been on here. Missed last week's episode. Before that, the microphone was not working, and I tried to record without it, and the sound quality was horrific. So we're back. It's good to be back. Feels like I'm kind of out of the loop a little bit. Still been following the Packers, but I took a 2-week break from social media, so haven't been on X, around the, football sphere, I guess you could say. So, feel a little bit out of the loop, but it's great to be back, and I appreciate everyone who continued to listen to the episodes of the show. It is, good to be a Packers fan right now. Packers got the win over the Dolphins, 30-17, very big win. Really was a pretty dominating performance by the Packers. Kind of felt like they were in cruise control from the beginning of the game. And we're going to break that down and maybe talk a little bit about the 49ers game, which I did not get a chance to discuss on the show yet. Give my players of the game, and then, of course, preview the big Thursday night football matchup coming up. So, before we get into that, I just would like to say that you can follow me on X at Cheeseheadz_W. You can find the website at greatcove.net/cheeseheads. The link is right here on your screen. If you are watching this on Spotify or on YouTube, the show is available just about everywhere you get podcasts. You can hit that follow button and subscribe button, or subscribe button wherever you're listening, whatever it is, and I would really appreciate that for sure. And of course, new episodes come out every week, as long as we don't have technical difficulties every week. And of course, you can hit the notification bell on Spotify or on YouTube, and that'll notify you when new episodes of the show come out. So let's get right into it. Packers, again, big win over the Dolphins, big win over the Niners last week, and the last 2 weeks feel a little bit more like playoff football, a little bit what we're looking for. Packers seem to be hitting their stride at about the right time, and that is great to see. Jordan Love, 21 for 28, 274, and 2 touchdowns this past game versus the Dolphins. He is my player of the game on offense, number 1 on that list, and he has now gone 2 straight weeks without throwing an interception, which is great. Now, against the 49ers, did have some throws that could have been picked off for sure. 2 dropped interceptions really by the 49ers defense. It was still progress, and, helped stop that momentum, of throwing the interceptions. And this, I don't believe he had a single turnover-worthy play here in the game against the Dolphins. Very efficient, 20 for 28, as I already mentioned. And, of course, really just getting it done. Josh Jacobs continues to be a force as well. And how about Tucker Kraft? No touchdown, but he was kind of a big part of the game plan in this one. 6 receptions for 78 yards. And, doing his thing. Lots of first down. It doesn't seem like it's possible to tackle Tucker Kraft in the open field without him getting a first down. Like, he catches the ball, at the 5 or 6 yards from the line of scrimmage, turns upfield, knocks over a guy to get to the first down, get first down yardage, basically is what it is. Like, he normally doesn't have it when he catches the ball. It's just, they leak him out. And he's been so good on those type of plays all year long. And just, make sure he makes at least one guy miss, or, falls forward, bulls him over, drags him across the first down marker, something like that. because he does not want to be tackled in the open field, and it's great to have a tight end like that. Tucker Kraft has been a force here for Green Bay at the tight end position. And then, you know who else has been a force? How about Josh Jacobs? 19 carries, 43 yards. That doesn't look real great on paper. 2.3 average there. But he did score a touchdown, and he had a big 49-yard reception where he absolutely juked a defender out of his shoes, and it was, kind of must-see TV at that point. Josh Jacobs, very fun to watch, broke a ton of tackles in this one. I believe it was his second straight week breaking double-digit tackles. So he's, really racking up the yards after contact. It's something we've seen all year. He's able to gain those hard yards in between the tackles. And he did it again this week against the Dolphins. Packers offense really looked very well. We saw Dontavian Wicks get involved a little bit more with Romeo Doubs out, which was good to see. Again, targeted 6 times in this one. He continues to be open when he's on the field. He just needs to learn to catch the ball, and hopefully he'll be able to, kind of do what he did last year, come on at about playoff time and, be a big part of the offense come playoffs. As far as the defense kind of doing their thing, how about Quay Walker? For 2 straight weeks, he's had great games. After, me and, basically every other Packers fan was thinking, okay, this Quay Walker thing just is not working. And he has not looked good for the majority of the year. Just been, kind of the same old Quay Walker, not taking any real step forward. It's not been imminent or evident, I should say, that he would take that step. He has taken that step here in the last 2 games, and I sure hope he can keep that up. 10 tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for loss in this one. He has been very good, and we certainly could use him next week against the Lions. You got Gibbs, you got Montgomery. Those 2 guys have been gashing defenses all season, including the Packers back when they matched up before the bye there as well. So this is going to be, big for him to be able to play well against a pretty good Lions offensive line and against some really great backs who are hard to tackle in the open field. It would be great if we could see another great performance by Walker. And, I think he's really the key to the Packers' defense in some ways, being able to stop the run kind of, at a really high level. And we saw, the Dolphins gained a total of 39 yards on the ground. That's including 6 yards from Tua on scrambles. Raheem Mostert, 5 for 19. Devon Achane, 7 for 14. And that all ended up being a 2.8 yard average with only a 13-yard run for, the long of any of them. Raheem Mostert had a 12-yard run. Achane had a 13-yard run. Basically, they were very inefficient and did not get a whole lot done. And Tua, threw the ball 46 times. So that's exactly what you want to see, because this pass defense can certainly make plays on the ball. We've seen that all year with McKinney, and it should be great to continue to see that. Hopefully, if we can keep this up, I'm really going to be looking at Quay pretty closely here come Thursday night, and hopefully he can keep that up. Number 2, how about another linebacker, Isaiah McDuffie? And he went into this game questionable, and you heard the commentators talking about that a good bit. Got the questionable tag going into the game with the ankle injury. Picked that up last week versus the 49ers, but was cleared, played very well. Had one of his best games of the year. Now, Isaiah McDuffie has been pretty solid all year long, but this was quite the good game again. Also 10 tackles and a tackle for loss and a pass breakup. So great stuff we're seeing from Isaiah McDuffie Number 3 here on defense, we got Lucas Van Ness, and he has really quietly kind of come on the last few weeks. I'm not sure really exactly when it started, but for sure the last 2 weeks, he's kind of come on as well, been making some impact plays. 2 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. A nice game by Lucas Van Ness, and he's kind of been coming on, been kind of red hot lately. And he gets potentially a matchup with the Lions backup at left tackle, which could be interesting. Taylor Decker dealing with a knee injury, did not practice the first on Monday on the injury report. I'm not sure about Tuesday. I'm recording this on Wednesday, and the report has not come out yet for today. So yeah, definitely should be interesting to see if he can keep that up as well. Again, against a good O-line, but could get a decent matchup. He kind of struggled against the Lions last time, operating against Taylor Decker, who has been very good. But Dan Skipper, the backup, could present a more favorable matchup. Skipper isn't horrible in his own right, though. I will say that much. He filled in pretty nicely last week when Decker went down. So, should be interesting to see if Van Ness can keep this up. But, man, if these guys can keep playing the way they have the last few weeks, this defense has a chance to be really elite, kind of really hit their stride just like the rest of the team towards the end of the year. So, things are really rounding in the form right now, offensively and defensively. And it's been really great to see so far. So, the next question we want to ask here is, are the Packers true Super Bowl contenders? Excuse me. I believe, we talked about it coming into the year. Everyone, they're kind of the flashy pick to win the Super Bowl. And, I think it's almost taken longer than I would have liked and I would have maybe expected for them to, hit their stride a little bit. It's taken basically as long as last year, if not a little bit longer, which, with Jordan Love, the full season under his belt, you maybe expected a faster start. But again, we changed defensive coordinators. That makes a difference. And Jordan Love has dealt with injury throughout this season, and he's now finally getting really healthy, completely healthy. And so since the bye week, the Packers really been doing pretty well. They had a close call against the Bears there, but overall it has not been bad, and they have not lost a game since the bye week. And now, really the real test comes here on Thursday night. They're big games, the ones that I would consider, against other potential Super Bowl contenders. You got the Vikings, the Lions, and the Eagles. Those are their 3 losses, okay? So the really powerhouse teams kind of on top of the league at the moment, or specifically the NFC, they have lost all those teams, including the Lions, and so this is going to be big. Now, if we look at the Lions, they're kind of hitting the Lions again at about the right time, because Lions dealing with a lot of injuries. They had listed 6 players on their initial injury report on Monday. 4 did not practice: left tackle Taylor Decker, defensive end Josh Paschal, defensive lineman Levi Owuzurike, defensive lineman DJ Reader as well. All did not practice. That's 4. Cornerback Carlton Davis with a knee was limited. He could be making his return. I'm not sure if he played last week or not, actually, but I know he has missed some time. As far as, injured reserve, we have Aiden Hutchinson, Malcolm Rodriguez, who I believe did get hurt in that Bears game. I think he was playing in that game, but was placed on IR pretty quickly. Apparently was a serious injury. Linebacker Alex Anzalone, cornerback Ennis Rakestraw, linebacker Derek Barnes, defensive end John Kaminsky, who really played well against the Packers last season. Defensive end Marcus Davenport, linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maben, safety Afetu Melifonwu, receiver Khalif Raymond, and defensive lineman Makai Wingo. All of those were starters or very, pretty impactful rotation players from what I remember. Now, Malcolm Rodriguez, I don't believe, was a starter until Anzalone went down. And so then he was starting in the Bears game and then got injured. So it's really been quite the ride, especially on the defensive side of the ball with all the injuries. And now Taylor Decker is injured as well, which certainly impacts the run game and the pass game for Detroit. But there's still quite the formidable challenge. The offense has not been putting up quite as many points the last couple weeks, but they really have just still been doing enough to win, obviously. Had a close call with the Bears as well. Again, the injuries were piling up in that game. And to me, the Lions seem like a very resilient team. I mean, they overall defensively, I think, put up a very nice effort against the Bears, despite having all of the injuries in that game. So it's been quite the Lions team this year. I'll just be honest. They've been very, very good. Only one loss. I was hoping so bad the Bears would have won that one. Had a very good chance too, and I kind of called it as that scene unfolded where the Bears epic collapse there at the end with the time management situation. I kind of was like, yeah, that's exactly what's going to get Matt Eberflus fired, and he was fired by the Bears. So there's some more NFC North news for you. So, yeah, this Lions game, very important for, the Packers to hopefully get the win and kind of solidify their status as a true contender in the NFC and, the NFL, really, competing for a Super Bowl. Now, I do want to talk about, I forgot to mention a little bit ago, Aaron Mosby is someone I want to mention along with, I believe, I was thinking of someone else. Well, I guess I will just go ahead and say real quick, a big play on special teams against the Dolphins. There was a muffed punt. Robert Rochelle was able to recover that, and that was the Packers' first, touchdown of the game. Set them up at the 9-yard line or something in the red zone, and they punched it in. That was their first score of the game on the Dolphins, or I guess that was after their first drive of the game. They punt it to the Dolphins, and then they're able to get a touchdown anyway. Daniel Whelan sailed a punt way down there, real high in the air, and the returner was not able to corral it, and Rochelle made a nice did a good job scooping that up. So that was a kind of a big play in that one. Also, just wanted to mention Aaron Mosby. Only can have 3 players of the game, but he was close to being one, and his snaps have consistently gone up since week 8 is the first snaps he had on defense, and since then they have steadily increased. He played 14 snaps last week versus the Dolphins and had, I believe, something like a tackle for loss. And tackle for loss, made a nice play or two on special teams, had a total of 2 tackles. And he was active in the game. I saw him out on the field, making plays, so that tells you that something was happening, and that's great to see, especially with the Preston Smith trade, him and Brenton Cox. Brenton Cox had a sack. That was the other guy I wanted to mention. Had a sack against the Dolphins. They sacked Tua 5 times. They're slowly getting more pressure. Matt LaFleur talked about that somewhat recently and said, they have been getting more pressure on the quarterback. Still need to see more, and I would agree with that. So we'll see if we can do that against a great offensive line. And, Jared Goff there in Detroit. And, of course, Jared Goff has been pretty good under pressure, but where he really can get beat is if you can rush with, if you can rush 4 and put pressure on him, and then you can cover the options better, and it makes it hard to play the blitz if, you don't have to blitz the blitz, if you know what I'm saying. So Packers have not been very good this year, or really in past years, rushing 4, and we saw that in a few games this year, where Halfley is just, throwing blitz after blitz because the Packers are putting no pressure on the quarterback. Saw that in the Bears game. It's getting better, but again, could definitely see more of that. That would be great. So, wrapping up the show here, just, what we need to look for against the Lions. I'll just give you a few keys to the game. I didn't really plan these out, so I'm just kind of going off the top of my head here, but really I would say the first key is to just start fast. You got to hit this defense. You get out to a lead. The Lions have not been playing from behind very much this year at all, and that could, make a difference if they have to, they have to really force plays to try to score points to keep up. And that could, force Goff into making some mistakes. And then, defensively, you need to stop the run. And that's the big thing. That's what, stopping the Lions offense really stopping the Lions offense really starts with stopping the run. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, you got David Montgomery, your Thunder and your Lightning. And you're going to see Montgomery probably out there more overall and probably more earlier in the game. And then as the defense wears down, you're going to see Gibbs, and he is absolutely electric with the ball in his hands. So you got to watch out for those. We kind of got gashed by them. We did hold them to only 17 points, but the game kind of got out of hand. It was bad weather. If I remember correctly, Packers couldn't do anything offensively, and, Detroit was able to capitalize. I believe they had a defensive touchdown as well on a pick 6. So, that you got to stop the run. That's really what it starts with. And then I think, the Packers, you can start putting pressure on Goff and, maybe force him to make a mistake. And Packers have been able to capitalize on mistakes by the quarterback this season. So hopefully that keeps up. And that will certainly be a huge help. And then, I'll just add something else in there. Get Josh Jacobs going. He seems to be the major key of the offense. I mean, how about McKinney and Josh Jacobs? I would say really the key to the offense and the key to the defense and their success this year. I mean, if they didn't have them, they wouldn't be here, I don't think. All the interceptions McKinney has, and then Josh Jacobs every game. And we saw even last year when Aaron Jones came back, that's when the offense started hitting their stride, and Josh Jacobs has been reliable. He's been consistent, has not missed a game. And so it's been really impressive what he's done for the Packers, doing everything they ask of him, being great in the receiving game as well, 4 for 74 last week in that department. So Josh Jacobs has been a force, and so he is kind of the key to this offense, if you ask me. And so hopefully they can get him going early against this Lions defense, and I think that'll really help as well. Well, I'm starting to lose my voice. I'm dealing with a little bit of a cold, so that'll do it for this week's episode. Thank you for listening. Be sure to tune in to Thursday Night Football. Big matchup upcoming, and a big test for the Packers as they look to continue to, hopefully gain ground on the Lions and Vikings, and potentially even win the NFC North in this game, with a W here. will really help get them there. Still very much up in the air, the NFC North is, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Also stay tuned for next week's episode of the show. We'll hopefully, barring any setbacks, be, recording again, and I'll give my reactions to the game, as well as any other topics I decide to discuss. So if you have anything you want to hear, be sure to send in a question. You can do that through a voice message in the description of the episode, or, comment on social media, on Spotify, YouTube, wherever. You can always send me a direct email as well if you would like to do that. That is all for this episode. Thank you for listening, everybody. I appreciate it. And go Pack, go.